Our doggo just got a friend because today it's Joytoy's 1/18 scale Horus Heresy Grey Slayer1. Now, just like the Death Sword we took a look at last time, the one here is indicative of it being a part of a wave of figures, albeit a bit more uniform compared to their skull-helmeted brothers. That isn't a bad thing though. Being my second Horus Heresy era Space Marine and my first one with a more classic look, I would have to say that first impressions are really good. The grey armor is sculpted nicely with bolts all around, the chest and buckle engravings, the claw, chains by the collar section, and that beautiful head sculpt that we'll talk about later. The color scheme is plain looking, but I feel like it works for the figure, especially with the gold, or is that a shiny bronze trim? Along with the silver details and accessories that look amazing in hand. Additional details also on the figure are a bolter holster and extra magazines just for display. The colors for the figure's highlights are in a black wash, while the claws or fangs have a brown highlight to them. Now, this wolf comes packing some heat. We get 6 pairs of hands, same as the Death Sword surprisingly. 2 holding hands, trigger finger hands, and cupping hands for poses. We get a Horus Heresy era bolter and bolt pistol, both with removable magazines for dynamic displays. One thing to note though on my copy is that the bolt pistol came apart at the seams, but I'm pretty sure it's just bad luck on my part. Regardless, it's something to keep in mind. For melee weapons, we get an axe with a similar wolf detail by the head of the blade, but way smaller than our last Space Wolf, with a brown handle and gold details painted on. There is also a shield included with this specific version of the Grey Slayer, with the only other figure in the wave including one being Huskarl. The shield in question has great sculpted in runes and detail, with a red gem in the middle for a nice contrast. Finally, we have 2 head sculpts, one helmet and one without. The helmet sculpt has really good paint application on the eyes, and the black highlights really make the details of the sculpt stand out in addition to adding depth all around. Both look amazing, but for this particular one, I really like what they've done with the head here. There's some really intricate detail here, like the wrinkles on the forehead that's highlighted well. The eyes are extremely well done, and the hair has a sort of gradient with the beard having a lighter shade, kind of like Dyebeard from Peacemaker. Posing is ultimately the same as the Death Sword in the last video, although I will have to note that due to the bracer design, I could only get a 90-degree bend on the figure. But maybe it's the same, and I'll have to double check for sure. Same pup size as the Death Sword, here he is next to a Space Wolf Legion Praetor. 40k Blueberry, Amazing Red, Ironhide, Grimlock, Minifig, and Nargacuga. Talking about prices, I believe I paid around $23 for this Space Marine, and compare that to the 40k Intercessor, which is around the same price and meant to be an entry release for Joytoy, and I'd say that this is a good deal for what you get. Yes, if the Horus Heresy designs don't appeal to you, then that's okay, but for the price, you get a great selection of accessories, 2 bolters, a shield, and an axe, which honestly could have been bigger. But that's a criticism for Games Workshop, since Joytoy Warhammer figures need to have minis before they're even considered to be made into action figures. I don't know what draws me to this line, but there's just something about the designs of the Horus Heresy that really appeal to me. For this wolf in particular, he looks uniform but savage at the same time. Clunky but well put together, and that head sculpt may just be the best that I've seen among my Joytoys so far. Articulation really isn't an issue because the design just makes sense. And honestly, if you're looking for the best value for a Space Marine, then the Grey Slayers might just be where they're at. Plus, if you don't like this design, then there's 4 more to pick from. Getting into the lore bit by bit, and now I think I'm feeling like I'd want some Heresy era Death Guard. Especially with Joytoy's announcement of the 40k Black Legion Chosen and Khorne Berserkers. What do you think?